Okay, this is a description of the final exam or final essay you'll need to complete for me. If you go to your syllabus, I'll give you all the structural details of what I want in the final exam, and length and font and all those things. So make sure you go back to the syllabus. It's still in the Introduction to Course folder if you need to look for it. As far as all of the videos and supplemental material, all of it's up and available to you for this final essay as well. I'm not going to take it down or try to hide something or whatever. And going back to those units is the key to this final essay question. There are 8 units, basically, where I've discussed major events of 20th century European history. So what I want for this final essay is a 10-paragraph answer to what I'm going to talk about. The first paragraph will be an introduction. The last paragraph will be a conclusion. The 8 paragraphs in between will deal with each of the 8 units that this course has considered. And each of those 8 unit titles is a framework for you to discuss your final essay as well. So those will be the guidelines for what will be discussed. So for example, I believe Unit 2 is something called Peace and the Aftermath. That is, of course, referring to the Paris Peace or the Treaty of Versailles and in the immediate years or so following World War I. So in that paragraph, the only topics that you could discuss, or the only time frame you could discuss, would be in those parameters of following, the First World War and the years after that. So I basically am giving you a step-by-step in terms of a historical timeline of how your essay should be composed. So these are the topics of time that you'll consider. Now, what's the question? Well, what I want you to do is to take one theme, one trend, one factor that you feel has been important or has characterized 20th century European history. And this could be a multitude of things, but again, whatever factor you choose, you have to be able to thread through these 8 units. So you got to show me through evidence how it appears in each of the 8 units. And what I mean by a factor, I don't mean something so general as change. Oh, there's been change in 20th century European history. Well, that's a little bit obvious. There's been change in everyone's history over a 100-year time period. Try to make it more specific. I had talked in the first unit about a couple of historians' views of the 20th century, and they had various themes. I had mentioned, for example, one historian, Niall Ferguson, says that ethnic conflict is a key factor. He also discussed economic instability. Mark Mazauer, he is focused on ideology and how that has factored into 20th century history. Some people have focused on very specific economic issues or social issues and changes of class and gender and whatever. I want you to personalize it. So you've learned a lot about 20th century European history now, and it might be just one particular area that seems to come up again and again that suits you to talk about. So what you're showing me is that you can take an idea and follow it through. So if you took, for example, ideology, you would talk about ideology at the beginning of the 20th century, how it changed, its influence on different political structures or whatever, and you follow it through the whole century. You follow it through those 8 body paragraphs, and using the framework of my 8 body or 8 units as the context. What should be in the paragraphs? Well, you're going to justify that, say, for example, economic instability was a key factor, a key role in history. If you chose that, then you would maybe point to a certain time period and describe it. Say, well, in 1929, the stock market crashed and it had this effect on this country, and there was 40% unemployment in this country, etc. So you not only have to pick one of these factors or trends, you also have to give evidence for each trend and not just say a word and expect that that was enough. If you said something about ethnic conflict and you said, oh, and then there was the Holocaust, and then you moved on, that doesn't say anything. You're going to talk about how this particular factor has made a difference, has changed things, has moved things, has pushed history in a certain way. You are the historian in this case. You read 5 books, you listened to a lot of material, you watched material, you read many different things. You are able now to say, you know what, in 20th century European history, I think this was a really important trend. And then just explain it through in those 8 units. Remember, you also need an introduction and a conclusion. Assume that the reader has no knowledge of 20th century history. Assume that you're not talking to me, you're just talking to a general audience. So you're going to introduce this topic that you're in. You got to talk about who, what, when, where kind of stuff. So you're in Europe, you're talking about the 20th century, and you're going to talk about how there's been important trends, blah, 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 and here's, the one that you will talk about. The danger is picking a topic and not being able to follow it through, or start talking about many things that have nothing to do with that topic. Maybe you choose economic instability, and that means every single body paragraph has to talk about economic instability, and you're not prepared to do that. So whatever trend you choose, go back, look at those titles, look at those frameworks, and say, can I continue this through? Can I make this happen? So make sure that you find something that you're comfortable with, that you could really give evidence to and justify. It's a 10-paragraph paper. I don't want anything longer. I don't want anything less. So I'll be looking, have they talked about, the unit called Prosperity and its Discontents? And were they talking about what I was talking about in that topic? Have they followed their trend through, etc.? It's worth 20 points. I expect to have a clean copy. It doesn't have to be perfect. You only have 24 hours or so to complete this, so don't feel that you have to edit every single sentence. Just do your best with it. I should read in a clear way when I receive your essay. Now I'm putting this up tomorrow morning, and you'll have approximately 24 hours to return your final essay. And if there's a problem when I receive it, hopefully I'll be around. I'll do my best to check to see that I received it, and then send you a note. So if it comes in and I check my email and I see that it's there, I'll at least send you a note saying, yes, I received that. So make sure you get that note back that, yes, I've received it. And if I have time, I'll immediately grade it most likely and get it back to you and get ready to determine your final grade. And those grades will be up in your eCampus page. You should be able to find your My Grades and see how those have all been filled in. Your total point scores will be up to 100 points. I've made it very easy, so you can add your total points and know exactly your score. A normal scale, 90 to 100 is an A, 80 to 89 is a B, etc. If there's any questions about any of that stuff, please email me. But I'm looking for some thoughtful review, that you've understood a lot, and that you're not just saying this happened, that happened, this happened, this happened, that happened. That's not what I want. I want you to think about something, something that you think is important to this time period, and really try to follow it through. Good luck. If you have any questions or problems, please contact me, and I look forward to your response. Thank you.